I think we're live. So I'm Becky Mansfield of Your Modern Family, and today I'm talking with Jenny Melrose of JennyMelrose.com and the Melrose family, and we are talking about pitching brands and working with brands. So a lot of you know that sponsored posts are really huge for me. This is one of the main ways that I earn an income, like monthly. The past couple of months they've just skyrocketed, and the more people that I'm talking to, I feel like the more that I am hearing this. And so today I grabbed Jenny to see if she could we could chat with each other, and we're friends outside of blogging anyway. So I think we met through blogging, but then she moved to our area. Oops, sorry, I have our YouTube going on.
Uh-oh, we lost her. All right, she is going to come back in and we're going to keep going. I don't know where she went. So Becky was saying that she and I knew each other outside of blogging, and then we also know each other from blogging. So I am Jenny Melrose of JennyMelrose.com and the Melrose family, and I'm going to check to see where Becky went because she just messaged me. So if you guys want to actually put in the chat.
I'm sorry, I got it.
Oh, there she is. She's back. She's fine.
Well, I was trying to close everything and I closed the wrong one.
That's fine. I just jumped right in. You know how it goes. We're gun on our toes. So if you guys want to put your name in the chat that's over there and where you're coming in from, so we can kind of see who's here. As we're going along, please feel free to ask any questions. Becky and I are going to be jumping into the chat to check to see what types of questions are coming through so that we can make sure that we answer them. But as Becky was saying, not only does I also make the majority of my money from sponsored posts, and I've been blogging, I think Becky and I have been blogging right around the same amount of time, about 6 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. But I was also a former teacher like Becky, and I was able to replace that teaching income with my sponsored post income. Now, Becky, where do you find your sponsored posts primarily from?
Just on my own. They either email me or I email them. So I used to say I used to get the most from like the middleman, like Top Influence, ICS, It's Girls, and I still do a lot with them. So, but the issue that I run into is that I make like 50% less when I work with one of those companies than when I do it on my own, because on my own, I'm not paying somebody else to like manage it all. I'm just doing it myself. So which is why I say November and December, I made so much with sponsored posts. I mean, I think I made maybe $40,000 in December just on sponsored posts, and that's not including the other things that came into play on blogging. And so I think that was because I did almost all of them just directly. I didn't go through a lot of companies, where in the past, I waited for people to email me and companies and ask me to join in, and it was so much more stressful. I really love working directly with a brand. For me, it's just less stressful, and I just really like it so much more.
Yes.
What about you?
I think for me, I started out on the networks. I think like everybody does, just because they kind of have it very easy to apply. You don't have to go searching to try to figure out the right person to actually reach out to.
Yeah.
But then I hated the fact that I felt so pigeonholed with the requirements that they would get.
Oh my goodness. I feel ridiculous. I feel like an ad when I have to, I really do. Like I told Mickey, there's one that I've been working on back and forth with this person that I'm just ready to quit, that I said, I just can't, like I emailed and said, I just can't write that. I can't write those lines. It sounds silly. I just can't. And, but yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah. There's just the requirements sometimes are crazy, and my readers wouldn't expect me to write like that, and I only want to write what I want to write and what I think that they want to read. So, and it makes a difference.
I love that you said that, because that's huge for me. Like I feel like if you can't write it and be authentic, then you shouldn't be writing it. Like you shouldn't be working if you can't make it sound like everything else you do. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing a sponsor post that's actually a review. So like you're a lot like me, where we're lifestyle bloggers, so we can pretty much do just about anything. I mean, you have more parenting than I do, but because of that, like if a mattress company comes to us, if we want to work with mattress company, we really can. But I think what's important is that people understand that we're not going to write a review of that mattress. Like, we'll turn it into something of like tips of how to transition a kid into a big kid bed. And I just think that a lot of times when people do sponsor posts, they start to think, oh, my job is to sell it. My job is to tell them what like all the good qualities are and none of the negatives. And I should just sound like a sales pitch. When in reality, it should be more of you telling your story more than anything else.
I know. You know what I started doing is I started writing my sponsored post, writing the whole post without adding anything about the sponsors. And then I'll go back through after my post is done, and it's a normal post that I would write, and I'll add in all those details. But like I'll write about, like you said, like transitioning and them to a bed and things like that. And then I'll go back and add the brand information and things like that, so that it just flows more naturally, because I want my readers to get like real content out of it and real information. And then of course, if I'm using the mattress, which I probably am if I'm working with them, then I'm going to share that. And I would have shared it anyway, so it works out that if I can get it sponsored.
Right. No, absolutely. Now, you said, do you do a lot of pitching yourself, or do you have a lot of, I mean, you're a well-known brand. Do you feel like you pitch though when you need to?
I do. I get a lot where they email me, but I pitch a lot too. So I would say I'm starting to pitch more. It's easy for me to pitch a company if I'm using their product, or if I want to be using their product. So like mattresses, for example, like it would be easy for me to email a company and say like, hey, we're looking for a new mattress. Do you think you'd be interested in a sponsored post? Or like my mom just like a week ago sent me these sheets that she wants me to try. She was like, all these famous celebrities are talking about these new sheets, and you should reach out to the company. So like I'll reach out to them, and I'm going to ask them for the sheets, and then for my like to work on a sponsored post together. But I get a lot of both. Like they email me and I email them. What do you think you do?
Yeah. I have started probably in the past year is I primarily will reach out to the ones that I want to work with. And one of the questions that I actually saw pop up that I think gets asked all the time is, when is it appropriate as a blogger to start reaching out to brands and expect to get compensated? What would you say?
Oh gosh, from the get-go. I would say anytime. Like as soon as you start blogging, you can start doing that. Because if you have, even if you're like influencing only 5 people, that's 5 people that they didn't have before.
Yes.
And yeah, what tell you me would charge, questions, because I'm not on that one anymore.
No, you're fine. I keep going back and forth. So if that's why you see me like click something and it's popping over to me, that's why. But for me, like I feel like as long as there's engagement, like you can see that there's conversation happening, or there's shares or likes on any platform, then I think you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think so too.
Because yes. And it's a lot of people I think get held up with that, and they think, well, I'm small. How can I possibly ask to be compensated? And I know we talked about this one time before, is the site socialbluebook.com.
Yeah.
To actually use to give you a basis of like what you can possibly charge based on your analytics. Yes. And also based on your, one of those days. Oh dear Lord. I'm sorry, guys. Okay.
Oh,
there we go. Okay. Yeah, we're back. Sorry. So you can use the site is socialbluebook.com. You put in your analytics and you can put in your social media following, and then it spits you out like a range of a rate that you can actually charge. And what I love about it is that you can change it for like if you were going to do a video, or if it's December and you know that's like your time. Yes. It can look back into your analytics and give you an idea of what you should be charging, which I always love.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like just start anytime, and that's a good like resource to have. So go off of that and kind of get an idea. I mean, I started from the very beginning. Like I think within like a week I was reaching out to local. I mean, like I've told this story before, but like my first one was for a pizza. So I just reached out to like a local place that we wanted to eat at. And I mean, it doesn't have to be huge, but you can reach out to a lot of brands. I mean, even if it's just for like, if there's a product that you want, just start from the beginning. Just go for it. The worst they can tell you is no.
Yes. And I think that's where people get stuck on, is like the idea of, I have to reach out. I'm not going to hear back from them. And if I do hear back from them, where do I go from there? Like, what's the next step? I don't know how to like given an idea of a proposal and what am I going to do for them and whatever else. So there's all these like moving pieces.
Yeah, I agree.
So now, what networks did you use in the past?
My favorite is probably Top Influence because they've always paid the most. And then Sits Girls I like because they will email me when they have a post that they want me to work on, which I think is like massive sway. I like working with them. IZEA I work with, I find that they don't pay as much as some of the other ones. Blog Meets Brand, Mickey works with them a lot, and they'll email me if they have something that's in my range. And I think those are like the main, Mom at Forward, the Motherhood, but those are the main ones that I work with right now.
Yeah, no, those are the ones that I love Top Influence just because they're also accommodating. So like they understand.
Yeah.
You can talk to them because I think one of the things that I've learned with working directly with the brands is when you can say to them, hey, listen, this doesn't work on social media. Like I know it's not going to work on my Facebook page. If I tag you, I get why you want me to do it, but it's going to kill my reach. And they'll say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Then we'll take that out of it.
Yes. I completely agree.
When you work with a brand or you work with a network, it's a requirement. Like you have no one to talk to, you have no contact.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I do like that. And they give you different people at Top Influence that you can work with and things like that. And then what I found is that if I work with like so-and-so at Top Influence, sometimes that person will reach out to me again and say, hey, I'm working with another brand. If you'd be interested, I know that we worked together in the past and I really liked working with you. Which let me say, it really pays to be accommodating to these people. So like if I am nice and I get my work done on time and I change things that they need changed or like within reason, of course, it always pays off because they come back to me and they say, you were so easy to work with, or we really enjoyed working with you in the past. But there's some bloggers I know that like once they're done, they would never go back in and change a link or things like that. And I think that makes it just a little bit harder. So I try to think of it as like, I'm just working with people. And if I can be nice to that person, then they'll remember that.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that also goes through with your follow-through, with your follow-up with them. Like when you work with a brand, you can turn around and say, hey, look, these are the impressions. This is the reach. This is
Jenny, so I had just been keeping track of it on my own, like trying to email them back. And then when I took your course, that's when it dawned on me that I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so many easier ways to be like sending them this information. So yeah, that changed, like that was so helpful for me.
Yeah. So for those that are unclear on what we're talking about, like afterwards you do a campaign and when you're working with a network, they require you to put the link in and then you're just done. Like that's the end of it. You get paid in 30 days or whatever it is. Now, but when you work with a actual brand, I teach that you give them all of your social media links and all of the shares, likes, impressions, everything, yes, so that they don't have to do the legwork. You're doing part of their work for them. And it goes back to what you were saying before about when you're accommodating and you fix things. Well, when you give them their job on a silver platter, yes, they're more likely to want to work with you again.
And what I found is that like just because you will reach out to a brand and you think they're just going to work with that brand, so many of these people are working in so many different areas. So like when I went to Stouffer's last year, like I didn't realize that Stouffer's also owned like Lean Cuisine, and they owned like Mrs. Fields or one of those cookie companies. And so now because I have contact, they just reached out to me this week, or maybe it was last week, and said, hey, remember we worked with you in Stouffer's last year? Do you think you could do Fiber One with us? And I was like, oh, yes. And it's the same that you're saying, because it was like, I was helpful then, so they remembered, and now because they could have picked anybody, but they come back like when you do your job well, and you, like you said, you prepare everything and you send it and you make their job easier. They'll remember that. I would certainly remember that if someone made my job easier.
Oh my goodness, yes. And those are the ones where I want to work with them. Like when I go to do my pricing for them, I give them, you're not a pain in the butt pricing. I give them
yes. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yes. Oh yeah. No, I have some that I bump up because I'm like, you can already tell like which ones are going to be a lot of work and things like that. I know.
Yes, no, for sure. Now, one of the questions that was also asked is about how do you go about finding the right company to reach out to?
I find from like things that I love. So for me, like there were things, certain brands that I knew, like around Christmas time, say, there were things that I knew that I wanted to try for the kids. So I reached out to like some of the toy companies and asked if we could work on some things together. Or if it's things in the house, there's like a bedding company, not the sheets one, but another bedding company that I reached out to when I was redecorating Ethan's room and said, could we work together? I'm doing a redesign. And then even our kitchen, like I just reached out to a company a couple weeks ago and said that I'd like to change our kitchen cabinets and would they be interested in helping with this project? And I mean, I gave a detailed email, but it took like a week, but they emailed back and said that they're interested and could I send my some information along. And so I don't know, I just find things that I want to do that I'm interested in and then I reach out to them. But you had a good tip on how you figure it out in your course.
Yeah. So I teach a whole process because I'm a former teacher. I'm used to lesson plans and used to give me the step by step of how to do it. And one of the things I found out when I started trying to reach out to the brands is it wasn't always right there in front of you. So what I do is I go to the website, I check up in the top, normally in their navigation bar for either media or press releases. And then under there, you can usually find an email address. Sometimes it'll also be down in the footer if you find it saying press releases or media, and then you'll find the email to the right person. But a lot of times they don't make it that easy. So what I actually do is I go onto Twitter and I will put out a tweet about that brand without a link to it. So if I was going to talk about Marzetti salad dressing, I would say my buffalo chicken lettuce wraps are awesome with @Marzetti dressing. And I would just put that tweet out there about them. And then what I do is we're in all these different, retweet threads and social groups on Facebook. I take that tweet and I make sure it gets retweeted so that it gets a lot of eyeballs on it and it gets a lot of attention. Yeah. That way Marzetti then follows me. I can direct message them and ask for their actual email address for a person on their team that works with bloggers.
That is smart.
You don't know me. But everything is step by step.
And Jenny does where she looks at the things in her house and finds I found this in your course, looks at the different things in her house and she finds different companies that she pinpoints companies that she has already in her house. Say you were looking at toothpaste or she would pick one and then she goes from there. And in her course she actually gives you the information, and I think there was even printables that for that section for the pantry part.
Yeah, there's spreadsheets and all those kind of things to go along with it, of course. Yes, you got to be able to track all of that.
Yeah.
Because that can definitely be one of the hard things. And then one of the other questions that was asked was about a media kit. What do you include in your media kit?
So mine is over the top. It's really detailed. I have past companies I've worked with. Well, so I have the basic things that you need, my numbers and my social shares and follows and things like that. But then I also have testimonies from companies that I've worked with, and I have oh my gosh, it's slipping my mind. What's the word that's case studies from different brands that I have, different sponsored posts that I've done. And so I can say these are the numbers that I got after I did that this post, and this is the reach that I had. And then I asked the person that I was working with, their contact for a testimony to put in my media kit. So my media kit's really long. It doesn't have to be that way, but I don't know, I did it once and I still use it. It needs updated now because Allie's 2 years old in the thing and she's 4 now. But but I think as long as you have the a lot of the basic things in there, I mean, it doesn't have to take long to make it, but I think that everyone needs to have one. I really think it makes a difference. I don't know what I was thinking when I didn't have one for so long. I just I just would email them the same email over and over. Here's some numbers. It's just so much easier to say, can I send you my media kit and see what you think?
Yes. And that is a huge piece of what I think the biggest mistake that bloggers often will make is they'll send an email and then they'll send a media kit right away with it. And you're not giving the brand a call to action. You're not telling them, listen, I want to move this forward. So can I send you a media kit and a proposal? And one of the things too that I have found is that people like to send an initial pitch. And unless it's very specific, like you talked about with your kitchen, with the cabinets, like that's a very specific thing in which you need to tell them what you're going to do. But if you are reaching out to, like, let's say, for example, a food brand, you don't want to go into the specifics of the exact recipe that you're going to make. You got to keep it broad so that if the one thing they can do very quickly is if you tell them a recipe and they're like, oh, no, that's not a good fit. Whereas if you say, you know, I'm going to create an easy family meal, they'll be more likely to think about it and then want to see more information of what you've done in the past. What do your photos look like? Who have you worked with?
Yeah, in my first email, I'll say something along the lines of, if you're, like, I send them something like that, and then I say, and if you're interested, I'd love to send you my media kit and a full-fledged idea of how I can create viral-worthy content for your site or for your product or whatever. So that, you're giving them an answer back. I think that when people send the media kit right away, it's so easy to just delete that. I mean, they have everything they need. They don't even have to respond to you. So give them, like, put the ball in their court, but keep something so that they have to say, like, yeah, that'd be great if you could send us your media kit. We can take a look. Or if you could send us your ideas. And even saying, like, I have a few ideas I'd love to run past you. I think I did that with, was it Bounty? And I ended up, now I have, like, an ambassadorship with them where I work with them every month. And I'm pretty sure it started out because I emailed them about an idea that I had with their Bounty with Dawn, like, wipes, and then that led to, like, a Charmin ambassadorship because Bounty and Charmin work together. So now I have, like, 2 guaranteed sponsored posts every month, and so it just starts with that, like, general email.
Yes, no, absolutely, and just giving them the media kit separate. One of the things too that I keep seeing, I'm looking back to the questions here, is that so I think a lot of people get confused about. So when you work with Bounty, and Bounty is a part of an umbrella company, or is it under? Okay, so when you reached out to Bounty, who did you?
I want to say it was like P&G that I reached out to.
Yes, and you're asking. So when you go to, like, an umbrella company like that, where they don't give the email address specifically to a smaller company like Bounty, well, it's not really a small company, but
right, I know what you mean.
Underneath that umbrella, you want to ask for the email address for the person on their team that works with bloggers, but also does it with Bounty, so that you can get the right person.
Yeah, so when I was working on, like, different toy things around the holidays, that's what I did, is I would email, like, the main toy company, and then I would say, do you have a contact for, like, Fisher Price or whatever, the one, like, so say there was, like, the big one, like Mattel or something, and then, like, do you have a contact for Hot Wheels? And then a lot of times they can send you that because they don't want to have to deal with your things either. So if you can get the right contact, like, I would give them a little information and be friendly, of course, and then ask for, if you could just point me in the right direction, I'd be happy to email so-and-so. And sometimes I'll email a couple people, like, if I'm not sure on their media place where it says the different, I'll just email them, like, either CC them or do, like, 2 separate emails. So I don't want it to look like I'm sending this, like, mass email of trying to find someone.
Right. No, absolutely. And it works the same way too. Like, if you go to a live event, I don't know if you've ever done, you probably have done, like, toy fairs and things, have you?
No, I don't think so, because all the toy fairs I found are, like, in New York. I've been invited to, like, the Melissa and Doug one every year, but I'm always like, I don't know that I've gone to, I guess I went to one, like, a cleaning thing like that where they showed different, like, cleaning products, but I don't think I've ever done the toy ones.
Okay. Well, because I'm from New York, so it's easy for me
like
to go to those kind of things.
Blogger capital of the world.
Yes. And you know what the crazy part is? It's where the businesses all go, but there's not that many bloggers there. Like, they're either in the city or down here, I feel like there's a ton more bloggers. Like, everyone I meet is a blogger down here. Crazy.
I know, there are a lot. Yeah.
No, like, you tell people that you're a blogger in New York, and they're like, you do what? you make money on that? Are you crazy? So, but one of the things that I was able to go to was they always do the Food and Wine Expo in New York City. And when you're at a vendor event like that, you just walk up and you say, I'm a blogger, and their eyes will get bigger and they'll know exactly, like, whose email to give you. Like, those events are the best places to actually get the business cards to the right people, because all you have to do is say, I'm looking for someone that works with bloggers. Do you have someone on your team that does that? Or are you the person I'm looking for? A lot of times it's the people that are there that are looking to work with bloggers.
Yeah, I found that for like conferences. So Bounty sends us to like the blog her food conference, and that's what I found there is there were so many different brands there trying to promote their food thing. And when I would ask them, a lot of them were the ones to contact. So I would, what I do is I like say, "Can I get my picture with you?" And we would take a picture together. And then when I email them to follow up, I would send the picture of the two of us together. So I would say,
so smart.
just a reminder of who I was, and we had talked about this, and just like to kind of jog their memory because I'm sure they met everybody that day.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think that that's what's important is it's not necessarily, they don't care as much about how big you are. They care more about you making those personal times where you get a connection with them. Or
Yes.
someone was just asking about the media kit. Well, should I send a media kit if my numbers are small? You still are going to send it because even though you might be smaller, you're not going to charge as much as, let's say, Becky will, okay? So even if your numbers are smaller, you still want to put your numbers on there, but the media kit is also about your elevator pitch. It's about your pictures. It's about what it is that you do and how it can be applied. Your influence can be applied to the brand that you want to work with. So even though you may feel like my numbers are small and just starting out or whatever it is, having that media kit puts you apart from the people that are just starting out. Because the ones that are just starting out and not sending it don't have one.
I read a quote or like a story, something a few months ago that I thought was like applies to this, but it was talking about so say there was like a product that a mom would sell, like if you only reach say 5,000 people or something like that. And then Kim Kardashian, who reaches all these millions of people. But if it's like a specific product that you're going to reach more people than she would reach, because even though all these eyes are on her, you have more influence in this specific topic. So like if you set yourself up as an authority in the areas that you have on your blog, then it doesn't matter as much about the numbers as the engagement and how likely these people are to follow you and to like click on the links that you're suggesting and things like that. So I really wouldn't get caught up on the numbers and don't let that worry you or scare you. I used to be really nervous about my numbers every month. Like I had to make sure they stayed at this certain amount. And then like when I found one year that they dropped, I was just like frantic, but my income has continued to go up every single month. And it just kind of showed me that it doesn't really matter about the people, because the people that I lost weren't loyal readers anyways. The ones that have stayed are the ones that are going to engage in the brand anyways. So it doesn't matter if your numbers aren't what you want them to be. Don't be afraid to send out to the brand, because they don't have those people that you have, and they still need that.
Absolutely agree. And I think everyone, like you're talking about that time when you had that dip, we all kind of had a dip at the same time because the algorithm changes.
Yeah.
And I think when we actually start to just understand it's our audience that matters more than anything else, and we need to create quality content for our audience, grow that audience, and then you have, like you're saying, loyal subscribers that are part of your email list, and you can continue to grow and make it even bigger and better for the brands to want to work with you.
Yeah.
So,
yep, I agree.
No, I totally agree. I just want to check to make sure that there's no other questions that I missed in here while we were looking at. One of the questions was to report back about what happened. So yeah, so when we're talking about reporting back to the brands, we're talking about like your social media as far as the number of shares, the number of likes. So if you put out a tweet, how many retweets did it get? How many likes did it get? What were the impressions on it? All the social media platforms now pretty much give you more than just it got 2 likes. It gives you now your reach and everything else. There's just so much more to it that you can give them. And when you do that, now I don't do it immediately. I wait about 30 days so that it's gotten some traction.
Yes, good stuff. I do too.
Yes, it takes that long.
I know. I hate when you're working with the middleman company and they say, like the day that it's due, they're like, "Can you give me?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, wait! It hasn't even had time to go anywhere yet. Just give it some time."
Yes,
yeah, it's better to do that.
No, definitely. And they understand that because they're the ones that are normally used to putting the numbers together. So I have a whole process that I teach my students is that you do that follow up with a document, but then you also give them your best of. So you have this culmination document that I call it, where it gives like screenshots of your posts all in one PDF so they can see it and be like, oh, that's the pin. Yes, I remember that post. Yeah, look at those comments that came along with it, or how many retweets or whatever it might be, so that you are continuing to remind them of who you are and the quality content you put out there.
Yes. Yeah, that's really important. It really is, because then they'll come back again. It's really about relationships and being able to show them that you can do your work and you can do it right, and then you're helping them.
Yes. No, absolutely. One of the things that I always like to say is that when you work with the networks, it's one and done. Like you do the post and you're done. You just sit around waiting for the next time for them to reach out to you. When you actually work with the brands, it gives you that opportunity to follow up with them and then create it so that you have these long-term contracts. It's not just one and done. You can then create it so that you have 3 posts for them in the next 6 months because you did such an awesome job the first time through.
And I find that a lot of times when I'm working with a brand directly, we do end up like instead of just doing one post, we end up agreeing on like 3 or 4, or like 1 per season or 1 per month or something like that, because there's so many ideas that you both can have. And I feel like then I'm making so much more because I'm making 4 times the amount because I'm doing 4 blog posts or whatever. So it really, like, you can really negotiate your way to, do you think that maybe we can do a once a month post? I really see this doing well on my page, and showing them your numbers and saying, I'd love to do this again. I have another idea if I could run it past you. So yeah, working with brands is just so much easier. I mean, I just like it so much more. I really do. It's so much less stressful. I think I already said that, but it just is to me. Like, I like knowing that I'm more in charge. I get like nervous knowing that I'm waiting on these other companies. So I just like to know that like I'm in control of my own income instead of waiting to know that they're in control of my income, like the middleman.
Yes, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that by reaching out to the brands myself, it created consistency, not only in my income, but also in my calendar. You know, I'm not looking ahead going, oh crap, what's coming in next month anymore. I can see, okay, there's 3 sponsored posts.
Yes, you schedule them.
Month already planned.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And you can space them out.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we've kind of been mentioning is that working with brands, I have an actual e-course where I teach my step-by-step process. And I was hoping I could actually give them a screen share. I'm hoping that it will work so they can see a little bit about what the course consists of. Okay.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the biggest thing for you guys to remember is that this is just not theory. Like, Becky and I have been working at this. Like, we understand the process of how this works. And like Becky said, she was already doing a lot of this on her own and then took my course, and we've kind of added a couple different things to the things.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It really was. Because I had been doing things, I feel like your course gave me more shortcuts, if that makes sense. Like, I was doing like things that were taking too long and it like jumbled in my mind. And so I feel like it gave like the steps that I just liked it. And I've been doing this for a long time and I learned a lot from it.
Thank you. Because that was my point. Like, as being that teacher, like for me, it was just for so long, there hadn't been any step-by-step process. And I felt like I needed to put something together because I was getting so many emails and so many messages from other bloggers saying, how do I do this? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this into a course and you guys can just go there.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah, because it is confusing when you start. Like, you don't, I mean, even if you've been doing it forever, it's still confusing. So yeah, I feel like you gave everything you need.
Yes, no, absolutely. So it's not really about money. It's all about money, freedom, getting rid of stress and consistency, because you can take this and make it so that it is overtime. So I'm not sure why you showed up today, if it was because you find yourself stressing over whether or not you have enough sponsored work coming in, or if it's because you're tired of waiting to be picked out from within a network of bloggers, or if you just want to see an increase in your income. We get this one thing. Going on my journey and discovering with much trial and error that working with brands on sponsored content was how I needed to make a full-time income change the way that I do things. It's something that you can do. It's actually a process. you can in a very short time be in the same situation. So the obvious question becomes, how do I apply it? You have a choice. You can do it slow, using trial and error and some of what I've taught you today, what Becky and I have talked about, or you can do it quickly and actually use my full 6-step process. So the Working with Brands e-course is designed to give you the entire process, every little thing you need in order to work with brands and keep them coming back for more, like we talked about. It's absolutely the fastest way to get from minimal work to doubling your income in 90 days. And this was my last spring, was what I started finally reaching out to brands. And I went from this to this, and it has steadily increased. So what exactly is the course? There are 7 video modules. Each module consists of 2 to 5 videos, which you can actually listen to like you would a podcast. You don't actually have to sit down and watch the videos. You can just listen to it and carry it along with you.
Yeah.
There are 14 PDFs, which are anything from multiple ready-to-use spreadsheets. There's a private Facebook group plus bonuses. Nothing is left out. And one of the
PDFs were huge. I felt like your PDFs were like huge for me. That was really helpful because I knew that I had to organize those things, but like I didn't have the time to even do them. So like to have your like ready-made PDFs were like, that's what I got a lot of value out of it.
Yes. And what we did too is since the first launch, we've gone back and we've added in additional things that we found a lot of people learn differently. And I kept getting the same questions as far as, well, I wrote this email and this is what they came back and said, what do I do now? So what we actually did is we created like a document where it says, okay, this is the email that you write, this is what you do next. And then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do that. So it kind of like gives you a pattern of like where to go next without me having to, it's just kind of like holding your hand through the whole process.
Yeah.
So module 1 and 2 are about beginning to feel comfortable with the idea of pitching brands, creating an elevator pitch that is specific to each brand so you can see your value, understanding the difference between a review and a sponsored post that you don't annoy your audience like we talked about today. Module 3 is about pitching the brand so that you receive a reply back so that you can knock their socks off with your proposal. And then, I don't know about you, Becky, but my favorite module is module 4 because I feel like this is where I really struggled. It lets you actually it teaches you how to create a proposal.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the hardest part really I think that's the most overwhelming part.
Yes, because you don't know what to go into it. You don't know how it should
Right.
look. You don't know how to set it up. So what I've done is I give you my proposals that I have used and have converted with. And because I'm a lifestyle blogger, you have something in there for travel. You have food. You have, I think there's something in there for a vacuum. Like there's everything that I do is in there so you can take it and use it and make it yours. And it lets you actually this module also goes through understanding pricing and like how to create it so that you're not just pitching for one post, you're pitching for multiple posts and you're making sure there's room to negotiate in your price. Because they definitely like to negotiate.
I know, I was going to say, I think that's key. Go in a little bit up and then you can negotiate to what you really want.
Yes, by taking pieces of what you have offered out. And
Yep.
Definitely part of what I teach. So module 5 is actually about creating the sponsored post so that you wow the brands and have them coming back to you because of your work, understanding the essential elements necessary for a sponsored post, follow links, how to disclose, all of that kind of stuff. Creating authentic sponsored posts that become your most popular posts, because one of the things that I didn't say is that my most popular content is actually sponsored. And I think that's kind of odd for people, but it's because I try to get so creative that I make sure my audience can connect with it.
I just pinned up, like Vicky and I were looking up dinner recipes and there was this one that I came across that, oh my gosh, this looks so good. And I pinned it. But yeah, reading through it, it was a sponsor post. Like it was clear to me that it was a sponsor post. And I thought that was smart. The way she did this was really smart. Because I love the recipe anyway. So I think you can make it really authentic.
Absolutely, as long as you're telling your story. And that's what I teach, is like how to tell your story. And I also go through how to skyrocket your impressions with social media and mastermind groups, because obviously I've been able to increase my page views and there are tactics that I teach that have increased mine, and so you can increase yours. Module 6 is about the follow-up, creating invoicing and tracking systems so you stay organized and get paid on time. Reporting back to the brands with a culmination document that reminds the brand why they want to continue to work with you. And then, so how much will this cost me? Well, this cost me thousands of dollars and hours because I toiled through learning these specific steps. It wasn't out there when I started. It wasn't out there of how you can go about creating this process. So one student in my first launch actually made the cost of the course back after 1 week of applying the skills and landing sponsored content.
Oh, I can see that.
Yes. So it will cost you, there's 2 different options. There's a signature option, which is $397 or 5 payments of $99. That includes everything that we've talked about, the 7 different video modules, the spreadsheets, the video kit, video training, the Facebook group, and you also get renegotiation, email swipe, and Facebook training. The master's group is actually just a little bit different. And what the master's consists of is it is my membership site. So I have a membership site where I do 1 Facebook Live per week in my group, as well as I have e-consulting office hours where my members sign up for a time period to actually get on one-on-one with me. And there's daily office hours so that if anytime they get stuck, they can sign up for an office hour and I can kick them forward. So that's part of too. If you decide to do the master's program, you would get the membership site with everything that comes with working with brands. So to sum it all up, if you want to work with brands without wasting time and money, then there's no better system. It's exactly what I needed when I started. It would have saved me a tremendous amount of time and money. You get all the modules in video format with supporting PDFs and spreadsheets. Plus, you have my support throughout the process through a private Facebook group. And I'm one of those types of people where if I get tagged, I'm in there probably within 5 minutes. Unless, of course, I'm doing a webinar.
Oh, that's so good. I'm like the worst. I'm like, oh man, so many notifications.
I know. It gets crazy, crazy, crazy. So now, the link to the e-course is actually right on the YouTube video. So you can click that video, it'll take you straight to the sales page, and then you can decide which one you want to do, either the signature or the master's program. And you also have a full 30-day money-back guarantee. So that if you find that it's not what you were looking for, you can get your money back. And I can say that I haven't had anybody get their money back yet. So
yeah, I can imagine
we've had some really, really great results with the Working with Brands e-course. Now, the one thing I didn't mention that I'm offering to your readers is that we're going to take a look at question SAS, but if they decide to purchase before we get off this webinar, so in like the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm also going to throw in a 60-minute one-on-one consulting with me. So they'd get a full 60 minutes to go over anything that they possibly want. Doesn't have to stick within Working with Brands. If they have questions about email, about creating their list, about challenges, yes. Which I love. So that is also an added bonus. So if you guys are interested in that piece of it, you can click on the link in YouTube. I'm going to actually pop in over to and see if there, whoops, wrong one. Where am I going? There we go. To see if there are any questions that got added. And my Facebook page, I just happened to pop up to Facebook, is lit up like a Christmas tree right now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one of the questions that I love that's here is that Heather Ryan asked, have you seen others outside of the lifestyle type bloggers be successful with working with brands?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I know. It's like,
I get so excited. Yes. So absolutely. You kind of touched on it before, Becky, when you were talking about is that when you are really niche specific. So I have a couple students in my course right now that did from October that are registered dietitians, and they're gluten-free and they're also vegan. So they're very, very specific with what they create for their audience. So their audience is also very specific. But what they have figured out, and what I told them from the very beginning, is that those brands that speak to that audience, they don't want to work with someone like me that's all over the place. They want those registered dietitians. They want those that understand gluten-free and vegan.
Yeah, I think that you definitely, because sometimes I always think like, oh man, I should have gone like more, like put myself somewhere. But because of that reason, like I think that working with brands would be easy when you can say like, hey, I'm an authority in this area, and my readers trust what I say, and they're coming back to me for those recipes or whatever it is. So I think that you can easily like earn your living on sponsored posts if you're really specific.
I totally agree. I honestly, there was a time where I thought I need to just start over, because that's what I do. Like anybody that knows me knows, like, that's my MO. Like if I get frustrated with something and feel like I'll just start over. Like I did that with my email list, or at least I tried to do that with my email list recently. Cynthia wouldn't let me. She yelled at me a lot.
I know, she said, like, between the two of us, she was like, there's so many tags. And Holly, she was like, you guys are all over the place.
And my whole thing was I just wanted to leave them all. And she was like, you're not leaving them all. We're going to figure this out.
I know. She took it over because I was like, I just can't.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I couldn't either. But it's really important to understand that, like, if I could have started over, I would have been so much more specific, because you attract a very specific audience, so that not only do the brands want to work with you, but then as you start to think about products, which you should start to think about products as a business, it's just so much easier to get really niche and get specific with it. Whereas like you and I have these crazy, like we're talking about our list. Our lists are tagged and segmented and all over the place because, well,
we are
all over the place.
Yeah, that's so true. I know. I think about like Fly Lady and things like that did like just cleaning. Like people go to her just for cleaning. Where like if they come to me for cleaning on like a Monday and they come back hoping to get like the same cleaning post on a Tuesday, and it's like, today my child was sad about this and here's how to fix it. So yeah, sometimes I think it'd be better just to be in one of those areas. But
yeah, so that's
no point worrying about it now, I guess.
Yeah, no, we can't go back and fix it all. But I absolutely agree that it's definitely like you can do. I have, like I said, a lot of food bloggers in my course already that went through it in October, and they are doing amazing with this because they can reach out to very specific brands that they are.
Yeah, I would think it's definitely beneficial.
Yes. No, I totally agree. I'm looking to see. Oh, yeah. So Aileen Clark wrote how it's stressful for November and December were great, and now it's dried up. As far as
this is where I think that this kind of course is a good thing to do. I was just saying that to Mickey yesterday. I was like, well, like in November, December, I got more emails than I could keep up with companies wanting to work with me. And then in like January, I think I've gotten 3 so far. And so this is the time when like you kind of have to step up to the plate, I think. And there's so many things you could do right now. Like cleaning is popular right now and eating healthy is popular. So like think about those different brands that you can work with, because those are the ones that are saving their money. Like CVS, I know right now, they just emailed me to see if I could do a post about eating healthy. So like all these different companies now are trying to go that route. So if you can figure that out, which you'll be able to do with Jenny's, the one like the pantry PDF would be perfect for that. But just trying to kind of figure out which way you can go. Then like these months don't have to be like hit or miss. I mean, you're kind of more in control. That's the beauty of you reaching out to a brand, is you take over that and you're in control of it, and you can reach out to these companies, especially if you know that they're. So what I do too is I look for companies that are maybe on Groupon or are running sales, and that like is a hint to me that they are trying to get the word out, and that's a good way for me to know that that's a company to reach out to right now.
Yes. And especially if they start to push it like a new product on Twitter or Facebook, like any of the brands that you think you want to work with, you need to be following. You need to be kind of getting an eye on, okay, and interact with them. See what they're talking about. You have to know the products that are new to them that are coming out. The one thing that I will say about when you work with brands is that it is a process. You have to understand that when you work through a network, the process has already occurred. They've already renegotiated. They've already negotiated from one price to the next price to how many bloggers, what it's going to consist of. When you work with brands, when you go to pitch, like right now, you should not be pitching Super Bowl. If you were pitching Super Bowl today, they're going to laugh and not answer you at all. Right now, you should already be thinking about St. Patrick's Day.
That's what I was thinking, like St. Patrick's Day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I made that mistake a lot at the beginning. Like I would like pitch them Valentine's Day in February and be like, I have a great idea. But yeah, that would like be too late. Because they have to approve it. And also like know that some of these companies haven't actually worked with, like I have some companies that email that they've never done this before. So they'll say like, oh, well, what do I do? Or what do you need to send me? Or, but I kind of like those because I'm like, oh, great. Like, here's what I do. And then I'll send it to you.
Yes.
Because it kind of works out.
No, I totally agree. Like, I feel like it's just, if you get ahead of the game. And I think that's why, like, when I was talking about the course, I talk about how it's 90 days. You're going to take 90 days because it's a process that you go through where you start pitching. Yeah. And I actually tell people, start off pitching once a week, or start off doing 3 times a week where you're just sending out a pitch, because there is a process of like follow up, and then what do you say next? And then what do you say when they say this to you? And I tried to make sure that any of those questions that would come up, I give you. One of the stories that I always tell is how we as bloggers complain a lot about how brands will reach out to us, and they're big brands, and want us to do stuff for free, like put up a Facebook post or put up a video, whatever it might be. And I have a very, very specific email that I write back to them. It's in the course that converts all the time. Like Neutrogena reached out to me over the summer and wanted me to do something for free. And not only did I get the price that I wanted, but now I have a long-term contract with them. And I'm not a beauty blogger.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's I used to just let those ones go. Like, I would not write back years ago. And then when I started responding, like, I'm the same way. I have like a canned email that I can send, but that I change specific for like whoever it is. But I find that so many of them convert. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, all that money that I missed at the beginning.
Yes. And it's simple. It's not like it's a long email. Like, I have just a couple sentences that I write, and it works just about every time to convert back to paying. And a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, we don't have a budget right now. But I hear from them 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much.
Yeah, this was fun.
For having me come on.
And Jenny and I talked for like a half hour beforehand too. I think we could talk forever.
Yes, absolutely. So for those that are watching the replay, you did get the replay. There is a link right on the video to go to the course. If you have any questions, please feel free. There's a lot of you, I think, people popping into the Influencer Entrepreneurs Facebook group. You can always tag me, ask questions. Even if it's in, I know Becky had posted it in your Blogging with Becky and Paula group, right?
Yeah.
I'm in that group as well as a member, so feel free to tag me with a question. I can answer it in there as well. So
good. Yay. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks so much.
All right. I'll talk to you later.